You're out there. You're just confident.
Once more. Watch. What's up, guys? So in this video, I want to show you guys a handful of text conversations that I've had with girls in the past, where I basically set up dates with them over text. But before we get into that, I want to mention a few things that I want you guys to keep in mind. And I'm also going to give a couple of tips on how to start the text conversation. So the first thing to keep in mind is texting is for setting up dates. It's not to have full-on conversations. Save the long conversations for when you actually go out on a date with her. There's a lot of guys that claim that their text game is weak and it's not that great. But I think in reality, what's really going on is they're not building a strong enough connection when they first meet her in person. Because think about it, when you text your friends or you text your family members, you're not thinking about what to say to them. It just comes naturally, because you already know where you stand in terms of your relationship with them. So it should be the same way with the girl. You build a strong enough connection with them to the point where you guys already feel like you've known each other for a long time, and you guys already have insiders and things like that, like things that you normally have with your friends. So next time when you're trying to get a girl's number, try your best to build a strong enough connection with her. Don't just go straight for the number, because the likelihood of her actually following up with you is very low. And of course, there are exceptions. I've had many interactions where the interaction was probably like a minute long, maybe even less, and the girl still ended up replying and we still ended up going on a date. So there are those exceptions, but the majority of the time you want to build a strong connection with them in person and then go for the number and text them. Now, I truly believe that calling girls is the best way to set up dates with them. Why? For a few reasons. When you text a girl, she's reading words on a phone screen. All right, it's not really you. You're the one typing, but she's only reading what you're typing, and she's interpreting it in her own way. As opposed to when you call her, she's actually hearing your voice, and it's pretty much like she's talking to you again, face to face, right? So then when you say something, you say it with a certain tonality in your voice, and it also makes it hard for her to misinterpret what you're saying. But then in text, it's very likely that she can misinterpret what you're saying. You can say something very innocent over text, but she can possibly get offended by it, even though you meant nothing offensive by it, because it's happened to me many times in the past. So if you're going to contact a girl, I would prefer calling, but I'm gonna make a separate video on calling girls in the future. So let's get back to the whole texting thing. Now, how do you start a conversation when you first get her number? Like I said, when you first meet her, you should build a strong enough bond where you guys already feel like you've known each other for a long time. And what does that mean? So maybe you guys have a joke that only you and her know. Maybe you guys have an insider that you guys came up with. Maybe you guys talked about traveling. Maybe what I've done many times is I'll use the us mentality to say something like, oh, we're going to run away to blah, blah, blah. So then over text, I'm gonna say, hey, I hope you packed your bags already. Our bus leaves in an hour, or something like that. So you're pretty much reviving a topic that you guys talked about in person over text. And a second way to open up a text conversation is what you'll see me do sometimes in videos, and I'm trying to do more often now, is right when you're getting her number in person, text her immediately. So when you're still with her, text her your name, and then possibly have her text you her name. So the conversation is already open, and either one of you is free to continue that conversation. And there's been many times where the girl would text me first. So after texting her my name, she'll say hi, blah, 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 and then we'll just go from there. All right, so those are the few things that I wanted you guys to keep in mind. Now let's get into the text conversations. All right, so fun fact about this first text that I'm about to show you guys. This is actually the first girl I ever went on a date with that I met from Cold Approach. This is the first one. It does bring back a lot of memories. All right, so I started off the conversation with, hey, are you still racing around the mall? And what I meant by this is when I first met her, she was walking really fast. And I brought it up in the conversation. I was like, yeah, you walk really fast. Are you racing yourself or something? So that was my opener for the text, because it's something familiar to her already, because we had already talked about it. And then she says, just finished my 10th lap. I said, well done. I'm guessing you know who this is. She says, John. All right, that's another insider. So sometimes I'll ask girls if they remember my name by the end of the conversation, because a lot of the times they forget. So she had guessed John, and then I forgot her name, so I said a random name as well, right? So that's why she said John. So she's like, John? And I said, yes, Jamie. And that was the name that I had guessed, but that's not her name. So I said, yes, Jamie, this is John. I'm glad you remembered. She said, hi, Leo, how are you doing? Done dancing with girls to get their numbers? And I said, almost. I asked like 4 more girls to teach me how to twerk, but I'm done now. I think I'm a pretty skilled dancer. She says, would you consider your twerking skills advanced now? And I said, I'd say I'm above average, but I'll blow you away. I'll teach you what I learned after our sushi date. So from what I remember, I had mentioned going on a date with her already in person. So I'm just bringing it up again in text. She's like, oh man, they better be more impressive than your slow dancing skills. So I had danced with her in person also when I first met her. And I said, I hope so. Was my slow dancing good? Yeah, I'm gonna like skip all this. We're just pretty much bantering and just joking around. So you kind of get an idea, like keep the conversation nice and light, you know, like joke here and there, bring up certain topics that you guys had, like I said, during your interaction with her. So I'm like, just skip all this, blah, blah, blah. And after that little bit of bantering, I'm like, hey, so are you available on Monday? She says, you were serious about sushi. And I was like, you weren't? And she said, I didn't think you were. But yes, I should be available Monday. And I said, yeah, you seem like a genuine person, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I would like to get to know you more, maybe over sushi or some tacos, who knows? She says, tacos because I'm Mexican? And I said, you don't like tacos? She said, maybe. And I'm like, I rest my case. She's like, well, then sounds good. So then we continue talking. I'm trying to figure out her logistics and more bantering throughout the week. So then, yeah, I asked her, I'm like, hey, just wanted to ask if you're still available tomorrow. She's like, yes, I think I should be. At around what time? And I tell her 4. She says, okay. And then I tell her to meet me in front of the place where, you know, I was gonna take her to eat. And then her schedule was sort of incongruent with my schedule, so we were just trying to figure out what day worked best for both of us. Yeah, eventually we set up a date, and then it's the day of the date, and then she texts me. She's like, all right, so today in like an hour, right? And I said, yup. And she told me she's late, and then we meet up, and boom, we have our little date. Yeah, so with that text, as you noticed, there was quite a bit of bantering, and that's not something I really do nowadays. But that being said, it's not bad to banter. Like I know I said earlier that, you know, don't have full-on conversations with the girls. But if it seems natural, if she's asking you questions, then by all means, you know, have a conversation. Just try to keep it short and don't talk for like a whole week over text. Now on to the next one. All right, so I opened the conversation with, yo, hi, it's the Canadian boy from the mall. She's like, Leo, right? And I'm like, yes, ma'am, good memory. What you up to today? She said, I'm shopping for a little while. Wait for my friend. I guess that was a typo, but she's like, how about you? I'm like, sounds fun. I'm getting ready for work. My coworker wanted me to switch shifts with her. And then I followed it up with, hey, do you like sushi? She said, that's nice of you to take it. She says, I love sushi. Then I said, yeah, it's like the 3rd time. I'm like, sweet. I was thinking we can go eat sushi one of these days if you're available. So as you can see here, I get straight to the point. I keep the banter to a minimum. You know, I say this and that, and then I go boom, ask her on a date. Yeah, she's like, I would love to, what's your schedule like? And then, yeah, we just kind of try to figure that out. And then with this girl, it was, her schedule also wasn't really congruent with my schedule. So it was a bit tricky to actually set up a date with her. But eventually we set up a date, and I'm gonna try to find that part in a second. Yeah, so she tells me she has school this certain day, and I'm like, what time do you get out? She says 5:30, but I can take public transportation back, so it takes a while. And I said, okay, I can meet you halfway if you want, and we can just go from there. And I think this is key because you're trying to make the situation as simple and low pressure as possible. You don't want her to try to figure out a bunch of things just to try to go on a date with you. You want to make planning the date as seamless as possible. So she says, yeah, that's cool. I go to school in so maybe in Sherman Oaks or something. And I said, yeah, sounds good. I'll see you on Tuesday. Good night. She's like, good night. And then, yeah, it's the, and I text her to confirm the day before. She says, yeah, how could I forget? Do you know any places? Otherwise, I will figure it out. And that's actually kind of rare because girls aren't usually the ones to say that they'll figure out the date idea. But in this particular case, you know, she was willing to do that. But obviously, you as a man have to decide what you're gonna do on the date, where you're gonna go. So I says, cool, and yeah, I know this one place in Northridge is pretty good. And I asked her where she wants me to meet her, or where she wants me to pick her up. She's like, okay, do you mind picking me up from my place? And I said, yeah, no problem, around 6. She said, sound good. And then, yeah, she sends me her address, and then I go and pick her up, and then we go on a date. So this one was a lot shorter, as you can see. But of course, you know, I felt like I could afford to make the text conversation that short because I know that our connection when I first met her was already really strong. So I was pretty confident that she was going to be willing to go out with me. On to the next one. So I opened this girl with Her name, it's Leo. Guarde mi número por favor, which is Spanish for save my number, please. And then I say, see, my Spanish is on point. She's like, no problem. I mean, so far I never thought it was too bad, but now like it matters to me. And I said, it could be better, but it's okay because we'll speak plenty of Spanish on our date. So I already mentioned the idea of going on a date with her. So it's no longer this foreign idea in her mind. She's like, sounds like a plan. I ask her if she's working tomorrow because I'm trying to figure out, when I could potentially go out with her. So then she says, I'm not off till Monday, and Mondays and Wednesdays I have class. And then she follows it up with, I can speak either with you though. So she's already kind of reciprocating the flirtiness. And I said, let's set it for Monday after your class. I have class too, but I'm done by 12:25. And then she's like, well, I guess it's meant to be because I'm done with my class at 12:35. And I said, see, the universe is trying to bring us together. And she says, you're cute, probably. So, and then I tell her about these low-key spots that I know, and we can potentially explore those spots. And then she asked me what I'm studying, and we talk about that. Oh, and then I start using the us mentality right here. And I say, so it was the next day already, and I told her I had a weird dream. She says, oh really? Was I in it by any chance? And I'm like, you know what? You were. How did you know? She's like, well, I was wondering. Remember what it was about? And then I said, yeah, you and I ended up living in Canada together and getting married because you wanted your Canadian citizenship. Then we ended up adopting 10 cats, 3 dogs, and a moose. She said, it would be fun to visit Canada. I'd have a feeling that I'd be the one coming home telling you that there's a moose that needs a home and I adopted it, so you need to build some sort of enclosure in the backyard. And I said, I figured you do that. I'd probably have to build a huge enclosure because I know after you bring home the moose, you'll then bring a raccoon, then a duck, then a squirrel, etc. So we're basically just joking around in a flirty way. And then she said, as many as you let me bring. And then I say, well, the capacity is 22. After all, we need some space for other things we want to have at our luxurious home. So, again, the us mentality. Oh, and then right here, she acknowledges that, let me see. And actually, I'm going to skip all that. That's a lot. But you guys get the point. There's a little bit of banter, a little bit of flirtation in the text. But of course, I didn't go too far with it because I wanted to save that sexual tension for when I actually met up with her. So then, yeah, after all that talking, she's like, okay, good night, see you tomorrow. So yeah, we basically find each other on campus and then we hang out. On to the next one. All right, so for this next one, I opened with her name. I hope you enjoy my amazing dance skills. They're gonna get us far in life. So as you can notice with a lot of these conversations, I'm always bringing up something that happened during our conversation when we first met. Because it's relatable. It's something that she's already familiar with that's linked to me. So I'm no longer a stranger in her mind. She sees me as someone that she knows and that she has these memories with already. So she says, haha, they're definitely not on par with mine, but I can say they're average, and yeah, we're gonna get far with our dance career. And then we just continue the banter. She asks me how old I am, and then I ask her. After that, I said, I have a proposal for you. Ready? She's like, all right, I'm all ears. What's this proposal? And I said, I propose as badly as you may want to spontaneously run away to Canada with me, that we have a nice little coffee date first. And then she says, I mean, you are my one-way ticket out of America, so I don't see why we can't do a coffee date. And I said, true, then it's settled. Are you available tomorrow after 4 p.m.? She's like, I'm actually not. I work till 4 and I don't get back to the valley till 5, then have class after. How about Wednesday? And I said, Wednesday after 4 works. You don't live in the valley, and then I'm trying to figure out where she lives. If she lives far, we can probably just meet halfway. But then she tells me where she lives, and I'm like, all right, well, she can just meet up with me at our date location. I continue the joking around, and then I'm like, yep, we need to invest in a private jet or something. She's like, I hope our dancing career will be able to help us afford one. If not, my dental career might be of some assistance. And I said, yeah, I hope you've been practicing. I know 4 steps seems like a lot, but you got to get them down. So, the joking, you just got to continue the fun vibes. Please, one practice and I'm good to go. I just don't want to outshine you or anything. I'm like, we'll see who outshines who. And then she's like, it'll be so satisfying to tell you I told you so. And I said, then it's on, señorita. She says, I do love a challenge. And then it comes the day of the date. I ask her to confirm. She says, I won't be back till 5. And I'm like, all right, 5:30 is fine. I ask her if she likes sushi. She says, yes. So then I send her the address to the place, and then we meet up and we have a date. All right, on to the next and maybe last I'm not sure how long this video is turning out, but so this next one is actually the girl from my first pickup video, the how to talk to girls or how to meet girls during COVID. So I opened the conversation with, "Hey, Miss Capricorn, it's Leo, the charming dancer." So she says, "Hi, Leo, how are you? Nice to hear from you." And I said, "I'm great, likewise. Are you practicing the dance I taught you as we speak?" She says, "Ha, in my mind, a little bit, yes, I remember it." Good, because we're going to go to Canada together. We're going to open our own dance studio. And then she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet. You seem like a very sweet guy and very romantic," which I absolutely love. The only thing is, I want to say it now because I don't want you to have any surprises later. I am 36 and I'm afraid I might be too old for you. I just want to be honest, and I understand I think she was trying to say, I understand you might want someone your age. I know I look super young, so I understand. And I say, no, of course not. Age is but a number. I care about genuine connections, and you seem like a really cool person, so I'd love to hang out with you. Maybe you can teach me some dance moves too. She says, wow, that was beautiful. Thank you for specifying that. Okay, I'll try my best, but I mostly know heels dance for girls. And I said, it's okay, I can still learn that. I'll just put on some heels then. She says that would be fun. Then I ask her, are you free any day this week? We should grab a cafecito together. She says, yeah, let's do it. Probably closer to the end of the week. And I say, sounds good. I'll bother you at the end of the week. You said you live in, right? And then she tells me where she lives, and I'm like, are you available tomorrow after 3? Oh yeah, and then she lagged a day. So then she replied the next day. She's like, hi Leo, it looks like I have been booked to perform this evening and tomorrow. Can we touch base again? I think maybe Sunday or next would actually be best. And then I say, no worries, Sunday might work. If not, next week for sure. And if not, we'll just figure it out. Let me know if you have an opening in your schedule. She says, okay, sounds good. And then I text her a few days later. I say, ¿Cómo estás? Which means, how are you in Spanish? And then she lagged to reply a few days. So I think she was actually like out of town performing or something. So then she replies like a few days later. She says, hi Leo, sorry for the delay. I was out of town performing. I'm great, and you? And I say, no worries, how was your performance? She says, it was great, thank you. How was your week? And I'm like, that's good. So on top of dancing, we now have to sing a duet together. So, you know, I'm still keeping up that fun vibe over the text. And then she's like, haha, that's right, how fun. What did you do? And then I tell her, exactly. So for that to happen, we need to schedule a date. How was Sunday? She says, oh, how fun. What did you film? Sunday works, maybe a brunch. I love Sunday brunch. And then I tell her what I filmed, and then I told her I'll tell you all about it on Sunday. So see what I said earlier? You can explain to her what you're doing or what you've done over text, or you can save that for when you actually meet up with her. She says, amazing, and yes, sounds good. And I say, cool, let's do 11:30. She says, sound good. It's the day of the dates. And then I say, hi. Oh, no, it's the day before the date. She's like, hi, where should we meet tomorrow? And I say, let's meet at. And then the day of the date, yeah, I get there, and then she tells me she's on her way, and then we meet up and we have a brunch. All right, guys, those are all the conversations I'm gonna show you guys for this video. But I hope you guys have at least a basic understanding now that you don't have to say smooth lines over text. You can have a very basic conversation with them as long as you're getting straight to the point with them. And that point is you want to take her out on a date. But yeah, just to recap, make sure your interactions are solid when you first meet them, so the chances of them actually replying to your text and agreeing to go on a date with you are very likely. And if you have the option to call them, I would recommend calling them. But of course, like I said, I'm gonna make a separate video on calling girls. So until next time, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the thumbs up, and I hope you got value out of this. I hope you learned something today, and I will see you next time. Peace out.